Hello, everybody. Dr. Mincey here. I want to talk about creatine. Why creatine? Because I keep having people come in my office, parents, students, people who bodybuild, people who want the edge for performance. They all want to know if creatine is good for them. And so they go online and they type in creatine because they try to find out, okay, what's the answer online? But the people who make creatine are going to post lots of good stuff about their product because they want people to buy it. It makes perfect sense. So initially, I really couldn't find anything wrong based on what was online because, after all, there were no obvious side effects that were going to be created. But what does creatine do anyway, so that we can make some sense out of this whole situation? Well, if you go when you work out, right, you want to get a really good workout. And if the muscle fails early on in the workout, then it can't develop as well. So muscle energy is based on the presence of this stuff called creatine, which the body makes from just having regular food. That doesn't sound like it could be that harmful. Now, but when the body makes creatine, it has to use other resources to deal with the additional creatine. So if you take creatine, it's not going to land you in the emergency room. That I know for sure, especially in the short term. But if we're looking at the long game, the potential for side effects is there because you can't take any type of vitamin or nutritional supplement in excess without creating a deficiency in a companion vitamin or mineral. You see, there's no foods in nature that consist solely of creatine. I challenge you to go to the grocery store and buy a natural food that is all creatine. You can't, because nature knows that there has to be a balance of nutrients. Otherwise, a deficiency will be created in the long run. So what's the big deal? The big deal is that the people who are taking creatine are taking it, and there aren't any studies that I'm aware of that study its use in adolescents, people that are growing, or in older adults. And actually, that's not true. The older adults actually might be the one group that benefit from it because their body is not as efficient in producing it. But adolescents, teens, preteens, people in their middle ages, it's questionable. And the thing I do know is the presence of large amounts of creatine will create an increased demand for vitamin B6. So if a person takes loads and loads of creatine, they end up with a relative B6 deficiency, which can predispose toward mood changes, poor liver function, cognitive types of issues such as depression or anxiety. And this is something that you would really see in the long run, not something you would see instantly. But because the muscle is now using more energy, because it is indeed getting bigger, the person will also get dehydrated. The whole process of the body taking care of creatine sucks up large quantities of water. So now we got a B6 deficiency and we've got a dehydration kind of problem that's created. Well, what else could creatine use up in excess? It could use up magnesium. So now there are lots of people that take magnesium because it relaxes the body, because it helps nerve flow, because it helps cognitive function, because it helps the bowels move properly. So now if we overload ourselves on creatine, we're dehydrated, we have a B6 deficiency potentially, and now we have a magnesium problem. And when we get a magnesium problem, well, what's the big deal, doc? I could just take this creatine and take all these vitamins with it. But how much? How much do you need to balance the problem that you're causing by taking excessive amounts of something that you could never get naturally? I don't know the answer to that, and I think you would need professional assistance to help deal with that. But if you're dehydrated now, you put pressure on the kidneys. If you take too much magnesium, you now create a calcium imbalance. And so it goes on and on and on. I don't think it's worth it in the long run. I'm sure there are people out there that will just look at me and say, I'm going to take it anyway. And I encourage you to get professional help to try to find the right balance of that vitamin. Because I assure you, the problem that's going to occur from the creatine consumption or overconsumption isn't going to show up for a little while. So you'll be okay for 1 year, 2 years, but in the long run, I have a sneaking suspicion that there'll be some kind of health-related challenge that comes up. There's never been a vitamin that I've seen in the 30 years of working with vitamins and minerals that can be taken all by itself in excess without creating a problem. While it won't kill you, it will impact the long-term health. I'm Dr. Tyrone Mincey. I encourage you to break out a textbook of medical physiology and nutrition and look at how creatine is broken down and how creatine is used by the body, and look at the nutrients that the body is dependent on that are used up by excessive creatine. My position is excessive creatine consumption should not be allowed in younger people. It's questionable in adults without proper supplementation and may be beneficial as a supervised use for elderly. I'm Dr. Tyrone Mincey. That's it for today.